Hello once again, and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about cross country, and Franklin Christ will have a chance to catch up with Kyle and Alexis Hall. But first, let's talk a little bit about cross country, and joining me to do so is Allie Can and Parker West. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Well, let's just start off by talking about life outside of cross country. What's your life like? What do you do outside of cross country, Allie?
Well, I'm a biology major, and so I'm kind of busy with that,
Right.
different things. I volunteer out at Sunrise, so I have a lot of different things to do outside of that, a lot of volunteering, and that's pretty much it.
What are some of the things you volunteer in?
I actually volunteer at the animal shelter, our local animal shelter, and I
Okay.
do stuff like that. And then out at Sunrise, I give lessons to some of the kids out there, and it's actually quite interesting.
All right, how about you, Parker?
A lot of people always ask me what's my life like outside of running, and there's not really one. Because when I'm not running, I'm at a different high school meet. I do a job very similar to this. I go to meets across the state and across the country, and I cover for a website called diestat.com, and basically I just go around. I get paid pretty decent money
Right.
or going in, depending on what I'm doing. I was just actually at the NCAA pre-nationals a couple weeks ago, taking photos and getting interviews, and then this weekend I'll be at the state meet. So no matter what I'm doing in my free time, it's most likely related to running.
So what's it like to have those different experiences with that job?
It's been really awesome. My job didn't really take off until over the summer when they sent me out to New Balance Nationals in North Carolina, and that was really what opened my eyes that I really wanted to do this, going around and seeing all these big names. And it's just been really awesome experience for my career.
So now is this something that you want to pursue as a career once you're out of college?
Oh yeah, they've basically told me until I graduate college, I'll be working part-time doing the stuff I'm doing now, and then once I graduate, I'll be moving out to Eugene, Oregon, and doing it full-time.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like you've got a great career ahead of you then.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited.
All right, well, let's break into the season of cross country a little bit. How's the season going for you, Allie?
I think overall it's going really well. Really, the girls as a whole are doing well together. I've never felt really closer to any other team. So, I mean, as a season for my last year, I was hurt, so I really could only go up from there.
Right.
So overall, I haven't really been upset with anything that's gone on. So.
And how's the season been going for you and your team, Parker?
The team has been doing really well. We've won 3 meets so far this year. We won the Red Wolf Rumble, we won the Earlham Invitational, and then this past weekend we won the Asbury Invitational. Individually, I think I could be doing a lot better. I'm really hard on myself, and coaches always telling me that I shouldn't be so hard on myself, but I definitely think I could be doing a lot better, and obviously getting myself better since I'm one of our top 5 scorers. That'll make the team ultimately better. So I've been working harder a lot more, not necessarily for myself, but for getting the team better, because I never had a team in high school. My senior year, we only had 3 guys on the team, so I'm still adapting to the whole team atmosphere.
All right. So let's break into the last couple of meets. The first one for the women's team, placed 31st out of 37 at the Wilmington College Jenna Armstrong Fall Classic. How did that go, Allie?
I think overall the general consensus between all the girls is we felt like we could have done better, but obviously we all went out there and we ran what we could. The meet itself was great, but the terrain was really, really, really rough. And so I think that was a big part of, I guess, the results of that meet for us. But overall, I think it went as well it was going to be going into it.
So what type of terrain was there at that course?
There was a lot of roots up out of the ground, and me personally, I mean, obviously I was hurt, so that was I think that was weighing a lot on my mind going into it. So I think I was a little bit reserved, which that hurt me overall. And then I think that was a lot for everybody else. They just we ran through some water, and then you hit some steep hills that you weren't expecting right away.
Right.
So, and everybody's kind of all clumped together. So it was hard to get around and move. So.
All right, and the men's team placed 22nd of 36 at Wilmington. Tell us about how that went, Parker.
The team did pretty well. We had, pretty sure all 8 of us set season bests, and like Allie said, the terrain was really weird. For the men's course was obviously different than the women's, since ours was a 5-mile race. It's like each mile was a different terrain, and it was kind of like an obstacle course, and kind of like we called it like a video game. There were a bunch of different levels for each mile. like I said, all 8 of us ran season bests. I didn't run as well as I wanted to, even though I set a personal best by like 13 seconds. I was really relaxed, and then at some point just fell off.
Now, do courses with terrain like that help you improve for courses that are slightly easier, or even some of the other courses?
Yeah, I think so. We started off the second meet of the year. We ran at Indiana Wesleyan, which the course is absolutely flat, no hills whatsoever. It's just basically 3 or 4 really big loops. And then we got into the tougher courses like Wilmington with all that different terrain, and then the course at Asbury was really, really hilly.
All right, well, speaking of Asbury, the women's team placed 4th of 7. Tell us about that one, Ellie.
Well, we were going into it thinking of treating it more like a tempo run because we have our big meet in a couple weeks.
Right.
We were just going out there, kind of use it as a training run, and Coach knew going into it that the hills and stuff were going to be rough on all of us, so we all just kind of went out there and just ran a race. Like, there was no pressure, and I think overall the meet went really well. We have just been. It was fun because we got our swim buddies, I guess, which I think that was a little bit easier for us, thinking about not focusing more on the race and more focusing on like the team, and I think it went well.
So for the viewers that don't know, explain the whole swim buddies thing.
Okay, so girls and guys, I mean, after a while we just get tired of each other. It's going to happen at some point, and Coach kind of broke us off, and we went out to dinner, and we both kind of just let off steam about the opposite team. So then he decided to have this idea of, let's pair a girl with a guy and make them basically bond together. And I mean, I think it was a great idea because obviously, and Parker and I, we haven't always seen eye to eye, but I think this will be a really good opportunity to really get to know him because, like he says, his life is really running, and I like to hear about stuff like that, but I would really like to understand more about him as like a person. So I think it's going to be an interesting idea.
All right. Well, back to Asbury. The men's team placed first at the Asbury Invite. Tell us what it was like. Obviously, the outcome was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. I didn't really know what the competition was like. All I knew is that Kyle Hall told us that we had a chance to win. So I think we were also going to treat it as a tempo run, but the first few of us, they didn't treat it as a tempo run. They went out hard, and then I did take it as a tempo run. I went and I had fun, and I was talking to other runners during the race and talking to my parents while I was running. So I took it pretty easily, but we still won, even though we were missing one of our top 5. Braden Burke wasn't there with us. He had some issues he had to sort out on his own, but still having to come out with a win, missing one of our scorers is really good. It sets a really good pace for us coming up for conference.
All right. Well, speaking of conference, that's coming up tomorrow. What are some things that you guys have been doing to train for the conference championships, Allie?
Well, we've just been going to like different areas. We've actually ventured out to like Hagerstown and stuff like that, just to give us a little bit of like a different area to train in. Because obviously we have the course and we have the Greenway, and the change of venue I think really helps us all. And I mean, we put in a lot of extra work. The girls, we try to do like extra ab workouts and stuff like that. So I think that extra work is going to really come in handy later.
Has the men's team been doing similar things?
Yeah, we've been going out. We've been going to Hagerstown, getting a bunch of different terrain. We've been talking a lot about it. We've been focused on it all season, and I think that with all the preparation we're doing and everything that we've been doing and what we're going to do, I think it'll turn out pretty well.
All right. Do you think is anyone on the team that has a chance to either make it out to nationals as a team or as an individual, Allie?
I am not sure. I think we have, as a team, we have a good chance of finishing a lot higher than they have us seeded. As far as going out as an individual, I think Morgan at this point, she has a really good chance. She's been putting in a lot of work. She has been running really, really well all season. I think if she keeps going in the direction she can, she really does have like a chance to go out by herself.
All right. And how about the men's team, Parker?
It's really stressful on all of us because we're not used to being put in this kind of position, because if there was one more team in the conference, then you would have to place top 2. But if there's less than 12, which the KIAC has 11, then you ultimately just have to win. And there's 3 teams that could ultimately win it. There's us, Point Park, and Rio Grande. And on paper, it looks like we should finish 3rd. but in a sport like cross country, it really just matters on the day. So if we all come together and we have a good day, and Point Park or Rio necessarily doesn't have their best day, I think we could definitely make it out as a team and win.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add today, Allie?
No.
Nope. How about you, Parker?
Nope.
All right. Well, I thank you guys for joining me today, and best of luck coming up in conference. And if either of you or either team makes it into the national round, best of luck there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it from two of our cross-country runners, what their life and what they expect the postseason to be like for the cross-country team. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
Hello once again, and welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock, and as we continue our cross-country episode, Franklin Christ, our reporter for Wolf Tales, had a chance to catch up with the Halls and talk about their lives outside of cross-country. Here's Franklin Christ with the Halls.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Wolf Tales. I'm joined today from the men's and women's cross-country team with Kyle and Alexis Hall. Thanks for joining me, you guys.
You're welcome.
I think since last time we spoke, you guys were in the pre-stages of the obviously the wedding process, and talk a little bit about how you guys' lives have changed since then.
Go ahead.
Well, during most of the process, I was gone at the police academy, so I didn't get to be as hands-on as I'd wanted to.
Sure.
I'm sure that was frustrating for Alexis.
Yeah.
And then actually, for the first about month of our marriage, I was still gone, so I didn't see her hardly at all. And then she had planned on going to Denver to visit her parents, so she went and visited her mother in Denver. So I didn't really see her until about a month and a half after the wedding, which was interesting.
Interesting way to spend the honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all by myself. I really enjoyed it.
So far it's really not been that different.
Sure.
I mean, it's been virtually the same. We definitely get more conversation about our relationship, which is always interesting, which
Nice.
might even be a good thing. Gives us the opportunity to vent to people. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is there a surrealness to it?
Yeah, people always ask me, like, do you feel different? And I do. I didn't think I was going to, just because, like, we are doing the same thing every day still.
Sure.
But I feel more wiser and older, I guess. So.
I'll tell you, I made the adjustment to jewelry. I had never worn rings or necklaces or anything like that, and
Sure.
I was worried if I would get used to it, but I haven't noticed it now. I'm at that stage, so I guess that's like a milestone that I
Yeah.
don't notice the ring anymore. So.
I was going to say myself, I've had this thing on for quite a while, and it's kind of becomes a part of me, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your police work. Tell us a little bit about that and some of the things that you do within that.
Absolutely. Well, I just entered the second stage of the program, which is the police officer stage.
Sure.
So I got through the cadet year, which is kind of the trial year to make sure you're able to do everything. I got through the academy, which was one of the more difficult opportunities in my life, but yet at the same time one of the most rewarding. And now I'm working as an officer. We just got bike patrol, which is really great. I've been able to really be acclimated with the community, and everybody loves to talk about the bike when they see me on it. And so now that I've been back and everything's been going fine, I really am enjoying the community, and everybody's been great to me so far. I haven't had to crack down on anybody. So
The power hasn't gone to his head yet.
Not yet. I'm waiting for it, though.
Now, Alexis, you do a lot of work within the school. SAAC, you're the vice president within that. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So SAAC stands for Student Athletic Advisory Committee.
Sure.
And right now, one of our main goals is to kind of get students out to the basketball and volleyball games. We've taken over How Crowd 101 this year, so to kind of relieve campus life of that, because there's so much going on anyways with them. And so right now we're just kind of setting up themes for everything. And one of our main projects as well is community service, because for Champions of Character, each team has to do a certain amount of hours for community service, and so we're trying to hit that really heavy this year and kind of take charge and get everyone involved at least in 2 events for the whole year.
Sure. Now you said some of the different difficulties within that. What do you think has been one of your biggest challenges within that?
There's like 25 people in our organization, so finding a time where everyone can meet at the same time, since we're all athletes, like our lives are crazy anyways.
Sure.
So when we do meet, it's normally at 7 o'clock on Thursday nights, so it's a little late. This week we're bringing dinner, so it'll be nice.
You said you're not so you're not running cross country this year. You're just running track. Has there been any sort of adjustment there in terms of life?
So much. For cross country, we go in the afternoons for our practices. You know, very rarely are we in the morning.
Sure.
And this year, my practices are at 5:30 every single morning during the week. So, and then I also had to adjust like not running miles over the summer and right now. So we're doing more of like speed work and weightlifting, and this is the first time in my life I've ever weightlifted, but I can definitely see the benefits from it because I went out and ran a 5K for the first time since conference last year over the weekend, and I was a minute off my times than I was like at the end of the season from last year. So
sure. So I mean, the progression there hasn't been much catching up, if you will.
Right. Kind of. It's taken a toll on my body quite a bit.
Sure, yeah.
So, but I mean, it's a good toll, I guess. Like
sure.
I can definitely see like the positive aspects of everything. So.
Right. Now, you guys are both from South Dearborn. Went to high school, or you're from the same neck of the woods as Lauren Hill. Talk a little bit about your relationship with her and the closeness that you guys had with her.
I don't think either of us actually knew her like personally.
Sure.
I did compete against her in a couple different sports. She played basketball, and basketball was one of our main sports at our school. So I definitely like saw her a lot because since it was Lawrenceburg and South Dearborn, we competed against each other all the time because we're 10 minutes apart. Yeah. And so she came to our school, and we would go to her school. And I mean, then we didn't think anything of it. She was just a normal student like us.
Sure.
And I also competed against her in soccer. So, I mean, on and off the field, like, I've known of her. But once she went public with the DIPG, the whole community did such a great job of just coming together. And it was a really emotional time last year when she passed.
Sure.
But, I mean, I can definitely see how our community has grown together.
I remember reading the original newspaper before it was on ESPN, before it was, a worldwide phenomenon. Yeah. I remember reading the paper and thinking how sad I was that somebody that from my local area was, had something like that. And I at the time, didn't realize that she was going to try to continue to play college basketball and that she was going to become the inspiration that she was. And it's really amazing to know I feel like every single person in our community felt the relationship with her.
Right.
Watching her on stage and at the ESPYs and things like that, hearing her name and all those things that she's been doing. So
still to this day, I like get online and like I see things about her and like just people from our community posting stuff. And I went to school with some of her best friends that she met at Mount St. Joe too. And I don't know, it was very surreal for us. I guess it hit really close to home for the two of us. And it's definitely a very emotional day when she passed, just because I knew how much weight was on everyone's shoulders back at home too.
Yeah, I know. I didn't obviously know her, obviously at the level that you guys would have known her, but it seemed like once all this did come about, ESPN really blew it up and really made the deal about it that they did.
They did a great job too.
Yes, I felt like they did a very good job as well. What sort of changes in your community did you see from the level that it was at in terms of just at the local level up to this nationwide level that ESPN brought it to?
I feel like our community definitely could have like made it more about us, but we didn't, and that really impressed me. Like it was solely about Lauren and who she is, and not necessarily like where she came from. And I don't know, that just really impressed me because there was just so much support there. And still to this day, like when we see her parents and stuff, like I'm sure that they don't pay for a single meal when they go out to eat. Like everyone knows who they are, and I don't know, it's been really important to everybody back home too.
Sure.
Yeah, and then coming right just a few months before the Lauryn Hill thing had happened, Nick Gepper, the skier, he had done really well in the world. So that had been, I remember watching the one of the late
Olympics.
shows, and they were talking about Lawrenceburg and the community as far as the gold medal thing. So they were just used to being in the spotlight over that, and then this happened, which was a drastic turn.
Yeah.
And so I think the community had done a great job. I mean, one of the big things I've noticed is everybody wants to put up, all the businesses have signs showing their support.
Right.
And so I think that just everybody felt the need to support each other. And I think, like Alexa said, it could have been an opportunity for them to make it about themselves, but nobody wanted to do that.
Right.
So I really think the community grew tighter because of everything.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, thanks for joining me today. Very much appreciate it. And for those of you watching at home, thanks for your time as well, and we'll see you next time.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. That sound you just heard means that it is time for Wolf Center. Wolf Center is where we take a look back at last week's IU East results and ahead to next week's schedule. You can download the Wolf House sound you just heard for free by downloading the free IU East Athletics app at the iTunes App Store or at Google Play. Now, taking a look on November 7th, cross country will be in Rio Grande, Ohio at the Kentucky Intercollegiate Athletic Conference meet. The meet begins at 10:15 a.m. Also on November 7th, the men's basketball team will play Union from Kentucky at 1 p.m. The game will be at Indiana Wesleyan's Caleb Dimmick Tournament. Live play-by-play will be available at IUERedWolves.com. On November 9th, women's basketball will travel to Campbellsville. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. and the Red Wolf on the Red Wolf Sports Network. On November 10th, the men's basketball team will play St. Catherine at home. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. at Richmond High School. On November 13th, the volleyball team will play in the KIAC tournament quarterfinals. The match will be held at the University of Rio Grande. Men's basketball will play Goshen at the Bethel Classic on November 13th. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. Now let's take a look at the KIAC women's basketball preseason poll in the Colonial Division. Rio Grande comes in at first, Point Park second, IU East third. In fourth, West Virginia Tech, Ohio Christian in fifth, and Carlo rounds out the Colonial Division in sixth. In the Capital Division, Asbury is ranked first, IU Southeast second, Brescia third, Cincinnati Christian comes in at fourth, IU Kokomo in fifth, Alice Lloyd sixth, and Midway seventh. IU East is fourth overall in the women's basketball KIC poll. Now for the men's KIC preseason poll in the Colonial Division, IU East in first, Rio Grande ranked second, Point Park third, West Virginia Tech fourth, Ohio Christian fifth, and Carlo rounds out the Colonial Division in sixth. In the Capital Division, Brescia first, Asbury second, Cincinnati Christian third, in fourth, Alice Lloyd, IU Southeast fifth, and IU Kokomo sixth. IU East is ranked first in the men's basketball preseason poll. That concludes this week's episode of Inside IU East Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.